Well, all right. So, welcome back. Yeah. So we're going to be going into Binance Chain now. Basically, it's not 100% recommended that we go into this. Nothing we say here is financial advice. Do this exactly. It is suggestions, right, from our expertise, but obviously not financial advice. You end up making that decision at the end of the day, right? Of your if you're going to spend your money this way, that way, and such, right? So, with that being said, we are diving into Binance Chain. So, if you want to kick us off, Tracker, let's go ahead and start there.
All right, sure. Yeah, so you're gonna share your screen on the website. There we go. So Thana, so
There.
question is why this one might be a question somebody are asking, or why are the ones that we're showing you do you guys care about? These are the ones that we've used. We've had good success with them. The lack of rugs, good quality interface. Most of the tools are there on those sites, and that's why we lean on them. We're not going to get into DeFi Llama, but I'm going to mention DeFi Llama just for the sense that we're going to, once we're done doing some of these recordings with the LP farm, we're going to come back together. We're going to kind of show DeFi Llama and why we pick the dexes which is no more than just an area where that people can decentralized farming and things like that are picked on. Like, why do we choose them? Okay. So on Binance, for example, this is the third largest dex in the Binance ecosystem. There's currently 65 million in liquidity, total value locked, TVL. So that's a pretty good size still. The other two competitors would be BuySwap, which I haven't used. PancakeSwap is number one. I don't care for them because they don't produce really good APR yields. They don't get into anything else, so I don't really care for those. So let's go ahead and just dive into why I like it, because I think you have the combination of good coins, good pairs, high APRs. You still have a good balance of total value locked. And of course, I've used it and I've had good success on it. Now, I will say when I started doing liquidity farming back in the day, I was on PancakeSwap and some other ones, and Binance is notoriously used for rugs. A lot of rugs. So you got to be careful where you're going. That's why we're trying to narrow this down into areas that we haven't experienced them in these ecosystems. So that's why we're trying to target these. So just like we've talked about in the other LP farmings that we've said in the past, they all have the same feature. You have a swap, the tab at the top. You have a swap function that allows you to swap your coins for one or another. I don't necessarily think they have a bridge here, but bottom line is you would have to bridge over your coins to the Binance. Nice. You do have a right here. You would swap over. You can do a cross chain. So that's a cross chain swap. I don't use cross chain swaps. I think it's just too many. It's too new. There's too many layers, because what you're doing is you're not just bridging, you're bridging and swapping at the same time. I don't know if I like that. That's what I'll say there on that part. Like, so if you look at this, like, you go to, like, he doesn't have bot. Yeah. So just go back to the market here. So I'd bridge my assets into Binance first, and then I would do all of my swapping to get my liquidity, my LP farms here, you know? So just sit tight here for a second. So in this UI, we have the market swaps. You can do limits too. I wouldn't do limit. I don't do limits. Because if I'm going to make the swap, I'm going to do it now. This is if you want to do some type of limit order on your swaps from one coin to another. That's fine. I get it. It's a good tool if you want to DCA or things of that nature, DC out. But I like the marketing one. Um, so this is a simple swap feature. You would figure out the coins you want. Normally, I would bridge into the Binance with either like something like BNB or the stable coin BNB, UBNB, which is their stable coin. Yeah, BUSD. There you go. That's the stable coin on Binance. You could even bring in Ethereum, of course, and some of the bigger. Always bridge over big coins that are notorious on those ecosystems. Don't bridge over small, random altcoins that aren't used very much, because you could run into problems with liquidity and slippage problems. So stick to the main coins when you're bridging in your assets into a main coin, into a main ecosystem. So in this one, you're going to go into Binance. So that's pretty much like all the other ones we talked about. Simple swap, no big deal here. Let's go into the liquidity tab, because this is where we're going to take a look at the liquidity farms. Immediately right out of the gate, I go straight to the APR sort on the APRs, because I want to see what the highest ones are, because that's my first filter. I'm looking at what's my risk reward. So if I'm going to go after something, I'm not going to be necessarily staking LPs that are going to give me 20%, unless it's two coins that I'm going to hold in my portfolio and I'm not going to get rid of them. And I think they go in good pairs together, and sure, I would. But in this case, we're looking for really good opportunities to get into stuff. BNB liquid driver is a really solid pair right there at 108%. Those are two good products to get into. I would only say on this one, lean to a little bit of caution. That liquidity is down to 135,000. That's still okay. That's not that no, it's not that it's okay. It's just you got to be careful. That could drop up quick, and you could get stuck with not being able to get your assets out of that. So you typically want to look for nice high liquidities, but that's a really good pair though. I like that one a lot. So that's a really good one. Let's scroll down and see what else we got. Oh, I'm sorry. Stop where you are. I'm sorry. Go back up. I do like Oath and Earn. So Earn is more of a, it's interesting. I don't know too much about the Earn, but what I'll tell you is this. If you look at the chart on Earn, it's very stable. It doesn't fluctuate very much. Oath has had a monster move here recently. Oath, and what's the other one from the Phantom ecosystem that's really moved hard? I believe it's Bamboo, which is the one we talked about previously. That's the incentive token you'll earn on staking on any of the Phantom networks. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is, they've done very well, Oath here. So you would have had, if you had those, you would have had a pretty nice little impermanent loss on Oath because it moved, I want to say like a 4x. Earn pretty much went sideways. So you definitely would have had impermanent loss, but with that high 200% APR, you probably would have been still cushioned pretty well. You still would be in some pretty good profits on that, on yielding on it. But once again, if you look at that low 62,000 locked up, that's leaning, that's a little on the sketchy side for me when you get when you're trying to get low like that. So those are the things I'd be cautious on. I do like this, is it Thana? I do like this site just in the simple fact that it's got a lot of good coins we like. I've seen grain on here. BNB is obviously a good coin to have. It's one of the big market cap leaders. Let's scroll down and see what else we got down here. Let's see here. Yeah, there's a lot of pages here. You can get into all types, but let's see here. See if there's anything else we can recognize on here that's solid. Like I said, never get into a coin that if you don't know anything about it. All right, let's take a look here.
And see, I'd like to kind of add into like this is when
Yep.
things start getting just a little bit iffy because it's like we're scrolling down. We got some things here, some things there. They're like maybe
Grain, there
not,
you go.
right?
Grain BNB
But
is a good
then,
one there.
oh yeah, that is a good one. But then we're starting to get lower on these APRs too. And if you notice,
Yep.
everybody just how we start getting really low very quickly. It can happen.
And it's a combination, a good point you brought up, Nate. So if you have that 57% APR and there's only 51,000 liquidity locked. So as the APR start to go down, you can see people starting to jump out of these LPs, and that could just be basically, it could be a perpetual cycle that just really speeds up, and before you know it, there's no liquidity in there. So you got to be careful on that too. It's another thing to look for. I tell you what, scroll to the top and let's sort by total locked value column. All right, so here you go, 5 million. That's a lot locked up, but of course you see why it's locked up. It's ETH and BNB, which honestly you're earning 16% on those two coins. That's not a bad combination, and those two are big, large market cap stable coins. Or sorry, not stable coins, but they're two very large networks. BNB, that is the L1 for the Binance network, and you have the Ethereum, which is the L1 for the Ethereum network. You're gaining 16% on two solid long-term holds. That's not bad. That ain't bad at all, actually. And you've got 5.6 million locked up. So it's a pretty good LP stake right there. That's a pretty good one. That wouldn't be a bad one to sit in. Not saying it's the best, but I'm saying things will jump out to me. Scroll down. Let's take a look what else is high up here in the total value locked.
One thing I want to point out is we got the stables. That's one of those things. I'm actually surprised to see just how much is locked up in stables as of right now. I would have thought this would be a whole hell of a lot less because we're at the bottom of a bear. You want to take this money out. You want to be buying other coins like ETH and BNB, right? You want that. Like this should be moved up into here, truthfully.
Yeah, I can see that too. Another strategy that people might be doing, and this is actually a really good strategy, like you're not going to, well, I'm going to say you have a very low risk of impermanent loss with USDT and USDC and a stable coin here. It's probably the least risk you're going to actually have unless something drastic happens, like they get depegged, which has happened, but they typically come back pretty quickly. Yes, it's always there's always a risk here, but holding 4% of your dry powder in a stable coin pair, you're earning 4% to sit in cash, basically dry powder. And then you can always pull that out when you're ready to use some of it to put it to work. So you are gaining it. It's another good little strategy you can earn on your basically your opportunities sitting on it. That's a good one. BNB and Matic is a really nice one. Polymatic is a great coin. That's a big one. That matter of fact, that's probably one of the biggest ones in the GameFi industry to own. And you're getting 50% yield on a 2 L1s like that. That's pretty. I'm sorry, Polymatic is more of an L2, but still 2 very good ecosystem coins, and you're earning 48%, and you got a nice market value, still total locked. I mean, that's a pretty solid. That's not a bad one at all, actually. Let's see what else we got down here. I am bullish on Polymatic, so I'll definitely say that. It's good long-term hold for the meta and GameFi play. They actually
Yeah, I would
partnered.
agree with that
They've actually
because
partnered with Disney, and they've partnered with
yeah,
like Nike, a lot of big companies out there. So
they
they're a
all like
huge market
Poly.
cap.
They
Yeah.
all love Polygon, and that's the thing that I'm looking at most bullish about Polymatic all about is that all these large companies are going to be throwing their money in there. So it's a pretty big deal. I think it's going to do extremely well, and it's definitely going to survive for long term.
Yep. Agreed.
All right,
This is,
FPM
yep.
BNB right
Another
here.
great one. Another great one here. That's you're getting 42% APR and 362 locked. So like I said, once you get under like when you get under about $250,000 locked, that's kind of an area I start to really question, do I want to get into it? But what I'm saying here is you can pick up some really good APRs in here in this ecosystem with some really good coins to lock up and earn pretty good cash here on some of these. So this is basically just another LP play you can look at. There are click on the lock tab up here. Like we talked about, a lot of these sites provide locking. So in here you can lock up. So basically this is an incentive side you'll earn, so lock into the to earn and govern. It's a DAX basically, or DAO. Sorry, it's a DAO. You lock it up and you can earn yield on single-sided staking is what this is basically looking like. The voting process is based on your voting power on how many basically what's the percentage of coins you have locked up, and then that gives you a voting opportunity. Now, what's interesting about voting now is, so if you have a voting locked up, that's if you own a big portion of that LP farm, you can decide on, you get a vote. You get a vote on how this site will utilize and try to push in your favor to maybe increase the incentives for these LPs, or vote on other aspects to like which LPs will do better. So there is a definitely, if you're have a larger percentage of locked, the voting really can give you a lot of favor and how you can control things, because these DAXs that's how they operate. They allow the voters, whoever's the largest owners, to vote to see how they want to control the LP farm. So that does give you a lot of good stuff there. The rewards are based on probably okay, so epochs, these are basically the same thing with locked up single-sided staking. A lot of times our LP farms, you get your rewards. The epochs typically drop in how much you earn over time is how they work. But this is, once again, this is a way to earn more rewards and where you can kind of collect it from. I haven't got into any of this stuff too much, but that's it. What's the NFT? I'm just curious what the NFT is. Stake the NFT. I don't know what this one is. Obviously, it's some type of, okay, yep, you can buy the NFTs on OpenSea and then you can stabilize them. So it's interesting. If you look at this is a little bit kind of similar to Magic Cats on Phantom, how you can own an NFT and then you can turn around and then stake it and earn yield on it. So, and the floor price right now is 30%, APR. So interesting. It's just another way that NFTs are going to get incorporated into this. Let's take a look what we got out here. There it is. Okay, so it's right there. I don't know what they're going for or what they are. I don't know anything about it. It's the first time I'm seeing it. So I'm just letting you know that this, obviously you need to do your own due diligence on this one, but you could earn more on it. But like I said, you're starting to see NFTs and over the last year or two becoming more involved with LP farming to give you that boost, or just another way to generate even more. You're seeing that as a trend that's been happening. You're going to keep seeing that trend too. Don't know about referrals and all that stuff. What's gauges? I'm just sure what that is. That tab up there next, engages at the top. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, the bribes. So they have this on a couple of other LP sites where you can bribe you're adding money to bribe them to get the rewards up higher for for the LP farms you're in. So it's an interesting concept. I don't necessarily know if I like it or not. I mean, it's just what a lot of sites do.
Yeah,
You
I
are
kind of I
seeing
kind
this
of
as
feel
well.
like it's trying to get more whales in, to be truthful.
Yeah.
That's kind of my opinion on it. But then like they're voting on the best APYs, right? Or the best sorry, pools to get higher APYs on, and it's like, well, okay, well, what do we got then at that point? We have to follow along with whatever the whales want at that point, right? So I'm a little bit skeptical on whether or not I like it.
Agreed. Agreed. But I will going back to the liquidity farms. You know, what's interesting here that I think is like, so when we looked at Spooky Swap, for example, when you look at APRs, you can earn more APR here on some of your Phantom coins than you will on Spooky Swap or some other liquidity farms. They're just options. Not to say you would want to use it or not. It's really up to you, but always take in consideration your APR, which is your risk reward, and then of course look at that total locked stake value to see how many people are in that pool, because that's going to tell you a lot. Just to give you an idea of what's a really good pool, not trying to get off on a tangent here by any means, but what I wanted to do is just give you an opportunity to think about was on, say, Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain, the reason I'm bringing up Pulse Chain is it's brand new and it is already moved up the ranks. It is, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 10, it's flirting with 10 and the 9th and 10th spot as far as the most liquidity locked, total value locked on DeFi Llama specs. And what they're saying is it's a brand new ecosystem and it's already got quite a bit locked up already, which is interesting. And there is 286 million total value locked. That's a lot locked up already on PulseX. And if you look at their LP farms, I'm not saying you don't got to go there, of course, but I'm just saying if you look at how much they have locked up in some of their liquidity farms, they have 24 million, 65 million, 40 million. Those are huge LP farms. Just to give you an idea, when you're looking at some of these that only have, less than 300,000 or 400,000. So that's the thing I would, lean to caution about. So if you're getting things that have low liquidity, just be careful on that. Now on Binance, the biggest one on the block here is Pancake Swap. It's got $1.5 billion in total value locked. And then Thana, we just looked at, only has 65 million. So it's lower, but yet you can also get higher APRs because of it. Not telling you to go one over another, just keep that in mind. But if you go to Pancake Swap, they don't have any big APRs. All their APRs are pretty small. I looked at it the other day. I didn't see anything that really jumped out at me that was like, okay, yeah, this is worth me giving my coins to a site, and in return, I'm going to get single digit, APRs. To me, it's just not worth it. So yes, it's got a lot of total value locked, but makes it more stable, but you're going to have to find a balance. You can't necessarily go after sometimes the ones that have the most total value locked, because you're not going to get high APRs, but at the same time, you don't want to go after high APRs on sites that have very little lock, because now you are potentially exposed to getting rugged, right? There's a couple other changes out here, but I just want to give you an update on this one. So Kenya Thana, this is a good one to use. Take a look at it. And then, like I said, when we get into DeFi Llama, we'll start to dive into the details of how to pick and choose and show you how to equip yourself with the right tools, so you know which ones you can use and feel a little bit more confident about, as well as having those good APRs. That's all we got. All right, Nate.